Hi, I'm Richard Weikart. I'm professor of history at California State University, Stanislaus. I've been teaching there for over 22 years now. And I've been asked to talk about what it means to be a Christian professor. And, when I think about when I was an undergraduate, I started off at Texas Christian University in 1976. And as a brand new, I was a Christian before I went to college. I was converted when I was 16 years old, a junior in high school. And so when I got to college, the very first class I took was English composition. It was the very first class that met when I was at the university. And the professor got up at that class and said, "I'm a humanist. I think that if we just all will work together, we can solve all of our problems here in our planet and such." So while I was a student, I was struck by the way that many professors and academics were really tearing down the whole notion that there is any truth, there is any objective truth, especially about morality and religion and such when I was there. And so I began studying apologetics and reading works by various famous Christian apologists and focusing on issues relating to, is the Christian worldview true? And the more I read and the more I studied and thought about it, the more I recognized that this was really something that was true. And Francis Schaeffer called it true truth, which is redundant, but the reason he had to say that was because everyone's undermining the notion that there is anything as truth with a capital T. But of course, Jesus, when he came, he proclaimed not only that he was the truth, but he said that for this purpose I came into the world, to proclaim the truth. And so that's one of the things that I see then as I've progressed on in my academic career. I've recognized that we as Christians need to be committed to truth. And God gave me a natural curiosity about intellectual things, and truth is one of the reasons I studied modern European intellectual history for my graduate studies. And so I became committed to the truth and trying to understand the truth, trying to communicate the truth to others as time went on. Now, as I've gone through my academic career, though, I've noticed that there are a number of things that can serve as roadblocks to the truth. And in this respect, I'm going to have to sort of make some admissions here, because I don't know that I've lived up to the truth in the way that I should over the years of my career. And one of the biggest stumbling blocks, I think, certainly the biggest stumbling block in my own life, has been the issue of pride. And if you've been around intellectuals very much, you'll probably notice that that is really a besetting sin, I think, of academics. And certainly it's one of my besetting sins. And so I've had to grapple with this issue of pride because, we get in front of people a lot in classes, and we don't want to look foolish. We don't want to, look strange and feel different and such. And so sometimes we can let that intimidate us. And that can block our search for the truth and our ability to try to communicate the truth. Let me just give one example of this. Now, very often on the first day of class, when I get up and talk with my students, I will introduce myself. I'll tell them a little bit about me, what kind of scholarly work I've done, other things. And then I'll even tell them a little bit about my family life and, just to get them a feel for who I am as a person and such. And then I always will tell them about my Christian commitment and talk a little bit about that for just briefly, not a lot, but just to let them know where I'm coming from intellectually and religiously. But I can't tell you how many times, before I've gone into that class, I have had fear come over me. What will they think when I say this? What is their reaction going to be? The same thing is true at academic conferences, at other venues. There's this way that fear and I think pride tries to get in our way to try to keep us from communicating the truth about who we are and who Christ is and what He's done for us. Even though we know He's done such wonderful, incredible things in my life, I've seen Him work in such incredible ways in my life, and He's given me a beautiful, joyous life. Yet sometimes there's this pressure that comes upon us. And that's, I think, born of the pride in our hearts. And the way this works itself out, too, in terms of scholarship, some of the scholarly work that I've done has been a little bit on the controversial side to some degree. And I think there's sometimes when we as Christians sometimes hesitate to get into those controversial areas with people, again, because of fear about how people are going to react. And you know what? Sometimes people are going to react negatively. In some of the work that I've done work relating to the history of social Darwinism and evolutionary ethics and other things like that. And I have caught some flack from some secular scholars over that. I have had some negative book reviews, of my work because of the approach that I've taken to some of these issues. But what's interesting is that God has always given me favor along the way as well. And Jesus said, you're going to face persecution. We need to realize that's going to happen. So we shouldn't be afraid of that or wonder when it happens to us. In fact, that should be something that we are, actually, Jesus said, rejoice and be exceeding glad. So that's something we should actually look forward to in one sense. That yes, not that we're trying to offend people. We're not. But when we do speak the truth, some people aren't going to take that so kindly. But you know what? Others are. There's others that are listening. And sometimes you may not even know who those people are, that are listening to you at those times. Some people are going to react positively. Some people are going to see, oh, there is something to this. There is something, that I haven't grasped yet about this. Or there is something that I see that's good about what's going on there. And I can't tell you how many times, too, just associated with my colleagues in my department. And, someone asked me, in fact, just a little bit before I gave this talk about my experience at a secular university. There are those out there that are rabid atheists and agnostics and skeptics who are, out to torpedo every Christian they can find. There are a few people out there like that. But my experience has been that most people are not, most academics even are not like that. Most of them have treated me well, over time, and God has given me favor. I know there's a lot of different places where my career could have got shot down at different places, but God always gave me favor when I needed it, and I trust that He'll do that for those that He's called to go into this ministry. And it is a ministry to try to serve college students, to try to speak to them, to try to write things that will stimulate them and get them on the right path. But a lot of people are sort of in the middle. They're confused. They don't know what they're doing. And that's why I think it's so important for us as Christian professors to be able to reach out to our students with the truth, because there's a lot of them listening, and we don't know what they're going to take away and which ones are going to be affected and touched by it, because there's a lot of people out there, they're just confused. They come to us at 18, 19, 20 years old, and a lot of them don't know what to make of life, and they're looking for role models. And sometimes because they get the wrong message, they go the wrong way. But that's where we can step in and be the role models as professors to them and try to show them the way to the truth and to engage them with the truth on our college campuses. I'm so thankful for those that when I was an undergraduate who were willing to speak up for the truth and write about Christian apologetics and try to show how Christianity is true. I mean, I already knew it was, but it was important for me to have those things to solidify in my life. And now I want to carry that on. I want to be able to take that to the next generation, because there's a whole lot of young people out there today that are looking for truth. They don't know where to find it, though. And we know that it's in Jesus, so let's point them to Him. Thank you.